Have a safe trip, you two. I farewelled, hugging my child goodbye, and then smiling at Shinobu. Be careful on your way back. You be careful, all the time, Kayaka scolded, flailing his arms around angrily. What's wrong with you? Always getting in trouble. And you're supposed to be protected by gods. Well, it actually runs deeper than that, I tried to explain, to which Shinobu cuts me off. Kayaka. Kayaka, now please behave. This is improper of a child like you. The black cat frowned, turning his head away. Thank you. And once again, I got interrupted. Kayaka-kun, it is right, though, Hanua-san. Shinobu smiled, yet a dark aura emanated from her, a lightning flinch at her actions. There's so much we can do and so much our hearts can take. So please take care of yourself, both of you, for your own sake and others. Yes, I apologize. I bowed, face red in embarrassment. See you at tonight's meeting then, Shinobu commented, now at ease. I stopped bowing by then, nodding with a hum at her words, and with the farewell, Shinobu, Kayaka, and I parted ways. They walked away from the estate while I went into my house to get some last things in order. I was in a coma PC, after all. Of course there are things that were left untended. Oh, I was in a coma, per se. Many love the idea of living in a castle, of having luxuries, but not everyone seems to know, and there are duties and hassles that come with such things. Well, everything has a price. Maybe not all actions are paid on the spot, but they eventually come after us, so we have to keep up at the end of the bargain. Sometimes more merciless than the others. Nothing is pegging, I asked, perplexed. I even blinked a few times. I'm not saying that. Kojiro-sama and Michiro-sama took care of most of the paperwork in the manor, while we kept up and maintained the house chores. Kojiro-sama actually said he saved up a few papers for you to review, though. Another Kasakai added. Kuma, she seemed to try and turn the situation for the better. He said he knew you didn't like having people do everything for you, and that you were greatly capable and skilled. At the moment of those words, I smiled and looked away shyly, feeling my stomach flutter. Of course he'd say that. And that you had to keep words to a minimum and take that medicine given by Kayaka-sama. Your voice still needs to rest. Jin added, almost scolding me as well. The deity of the Kazuki. They either see me as their superior or as a junior they must care for. You forgot to mention the Tsukugo apprentice, the second Kazakai softly said to Jin, as if attending to whisper. The aforementioned male reacted with an "oh" and began explaining. Some demon slayers have been sending letters asking if they could train under you and become your apprentice. We haven't replied to any of them yet, and some even visit briefly to offer support and appreciation, so we've been waiting for you to take care of the answers. Oh, anticipations. I didn't expect such things to happen so fast. I still haven't fully processed that I just woke up today, and I'm suddenly flooded with all these news and events of whatnot. At least Mother told me the weekly intelligence every day like a prayer, but I've not been told all this without prior announcement, but not like I could forget I had to take care of such things. What kind of irresponsible things is that? Let's not dwell too much now. What's done is done, and the best I can do is work with what I can bring to the best of us at least. I will tell them all that they have two options. They can either train under me or have my competitor do so. She has the one who helped me get this far, after all. I spoke, now wandering through the halls, and I said I will tell them because I don't want them to think I don't consider them worthy of my time or having you reply in my stead. Yes, well, it is kind of true that people get those types of ideas sometimes. Jin's sweat dropped, Kuma nodding. The most annoying thing of all for any important or well-known figure being seen as evil or sinful of mischief,
Why dwell in the chants of glory and praise if you're not allowed to do or be someone like it that else? I, for me, highly disagree with that lifestyle. As if gods never did wrong, I muttered it with a small pout, opening the door to my favorite room, a simple room with a small table, 2 croutons, a bookshelf, and my favorite novels, poems, and such. And a desk with a beautiful view of the garden. The paperwork was already set on the table, Michiru and Kokun taking as they sat on the desk, their backs facing me. Yandere is truly admirable. I bet that was a new breathing posture of hers. I've never seen it or heard of it before. Not even the other guy knew about it. Michiru spoke with Dutch enthusiastic, surely matching Kokun's. By the other guy, you mean Uzui-san, or Kojo asked, tilting his head slightly. Their conversation stopped when they heard Kasakai excuse themselves and leave to do their own thing or simply be away from the duo. I get that Michiru is still not the best at his abilities because his considering obsession of being a part of every aspect of my life, except love-wise, but Kokun is harmless. So far, he has been harmless. He's been such a gentleman to me. So kind-hearted and pure. I can't ever bother hard feelings towards him. Pure. I shook my head, faint and quickly, slightly sighing. I'll let such thoughts torment me tomorrow. I'm too busy right now. Your thoughts are one great mystery indeed, Kojo commented, getting me out of my thoughts. I love you. I began crying, staring at my lap and clearing my tears to no avail. Of course this made Kojo panic. Yandere, you're too kind to me, I sobbed, looking at him through watery eyes. You're caring and loving to the point it's unbearable. Because I love you so, and you desire to be loved and cared for, Kojo replied softly, trying to ease down my cries, yet it only made it worse. Not his fault, of course, just my delusional and denying self. Even if I've lost value, I can't even offer you that. My words were choked down for a second, for I bit my tongue to hold myself back from whatever disappear my mood could unfold. Just how worthy am I to you? Really, all of this. I know I've been told I deserve the best of everything, but I don't even fit that title. You're more than whatever mistakes you did in the past, Ian. Kojiro spoke, almost in a whisper as he gently held me against his chest and hugged me dearly. I won't justify them. But I'm not going to bias with you because of it. We aren't perfect, after all. You said it yourself. It was my fault, I blurted out, holding one of his hands and inspecting every scar and mark on it. I convinced myself it was the right thing to do despite knowing it wasn't okay or if I wasn't wanting it. I was too desperate to feel something. I let out a heavy, dreadful sigh. What am I doing? I used to be all against of the back of these days as a saint, but now It's bad to relate of many things I reject once. Oh, for Buddha's sake, of course it is. At least we met, and we won't have it any other way. Despite our mistakes, our faults, and whatever it is you did wrong, I love you for being you. How you are still standing strong after falling and missing. And I will remain for you for as long as I live. How much I love you, even if we meet not long ago, I mumbled, sniffing softly. I wasn't crying anymore, but tears did slightly fall. Though it feels I've known you for far much longer. It's all right as it is. That means more time to find out more things about each other, Rengoku said joyfully, and with no presents, of course. It's interesting to see you. See me? How so? I laughed lightly, glancing at the flame pillar. Ah, that's right. The way you're looking at me, he replied hardly, looking at me with amazement. Fascinating, adorable, and fascinating. Kojo, what's with you? Mitsuri-sama came to visit. You nodded as if telling Maya to let her in. Kitty-chan, the tea is... Maybe I should go home. Those bees aren't going to tend themselves, right? You don't have to do this for her, Michiru-san. Yukuro said with a side smile. I know it can be tiresome to travel all the way here and... What did you just say? Michiru asked darkly, holding the Kasakai by his neck. Yukuko was struggling to make a sound or breathe. Those once misty eyes now glanced with rage and insanity. You're saying that taking care of Yin is a bother? All that came out of Uiko was short, ragged breaths as he desperately tried to either explain himself or beg for mercy. The only real tiresome existence here is you brainless piece of shit. Remember that. Michiro finally said as he let go of the Kasakai's neck. Now, I have to read Yin her letters and help her write replies. Today you stayed in your room. Maya, Jin, and the other Kasakai forbid you from leaving the house, since it began to grow colder and the last thing they wanted you was to get worse. You got warmth from the many blankets that you were given and the akidi, I think that's how you say it, that was placed under your kosadai, I think that's how you say it, so the cold was no problem at all. You were left alone, reading books or whatever indoor activity you preferred. The Kasakai were ready to aid you in anything, but waited for you to reach out for them, in order to not seem clingy and overwhelming. Of course, they still kept an eye on you from time to time to prevent another murder or accident from happening. As you read through the poetry books you chose that day, soft rattling from the door leading outside could be heard. You didn't pay mind to it. Once again, the rattling was present, and once again, you ignored it. Silence. The door slid open, yet you still didn't look. You keep telling me this and that about manners, and you don't even open the fucking door for me. Isn't that a bit hypocrite? Your eyes, which used to have haze and dull, suddenly regained their color and gleamed as your head quickly loomed towards the voice's owner. Sanemi-san. You breathed out softly, eyes widened. The albino smiled slightly, closing the door behind him. Hey, crybaby. You got up quickly, hugging the former wind pillar as you began crying again. Sanemi hugged back, eyes closed as he let out a silent, shaking breath. You really honor that nickname I gave you, huh? I don't know how I can still cry after so many days of doing so. You laughed between sniffles, not letting one go. Just say you missed me lots, Sanemi says, keeping his grin still. After a few seconds, he let go of you and held your face in his hands, delicately. His face was now controlled into his unusual phase expression. Damn, you look bad. What made you cry so much? Your expression turned sour, and you looked to drift to the side. Nezuko's dead. Sanemi's hand, once fisted, loosened to the palm once again. His aching jaw was relaxed now, and his crazed look replaced with tiredness and defeat. I brought you something, Sanemi said, still facing the door that led outside. He rummaged through his clothes, taking out a small wooden box. You broke the hug to let him turn around, and he did so, handing you said box. Your eyes widened when you stared at the box in awe. A small box? Sanemi sighed at your antics, a faint smile forming inside his stomach. What's important is what's inside the box. You scoffed and opened the box. A beautiful but favorite-colored butterfly-shaped hair comb. Your fingers carefully traced over every detail of the butterfly's wings. It's turtle shell, Sanemi blurted out, making you look at him. He quickly cleared his throat, a faint blush raising as he looked away. I just wanted you to know. I love it, Sanemi. Thank you. You smiled warmly at the albino. I'll make sure to use it often. Sanemi nodded at your words sheepishly, which will be difficult since everyone's been gifting me hair pieces. You say with a laugh. Then you look at the little box affectionately, irritating Sanemi. You lifted your head slightly with a faint making Sanemi jolt a little at your behavior. You know what? I should wear it today. I'll help you, Sanemi offered, to which you sat down with your back facing the white-haired male, as he sat as well. Of course. Oh, what a gentleman, you hummed in the hopes of taunting him. As expected, it worked. Just doing my duties, aiding your highness, Sanemi responded. Guessing by his voice, he was eager to see you fumming. Again, as expected, it worked. Hurry up, was all you said. Giving up so quickly, crybaby? Sanemi cooed, earring an embarrassed and enraged expression from you. There, all done. Sanemi-san, you called, yet he remained quiet. I'll protect you this time, I promise you, Sanemi said, hugging you tighter as he buried his face in your shoulder. Kayaka, I promised I will. Kayaka? Who is Kayaka? Perhaps he meant Hanawa, but your Hori muffled it. Your eyes widened, afraid. Maya, I'm not telling Okiyama-sama about it since he's been helping you move on from your pain, she interrupted in a solemn tone, her back facing you. But just know that what you're doing can affect you as a member of the Demon Slayer course. Thanks, Maya. I hope you understand that we all care about you, even Okiyatama-sama. He pardoned Sanemi's life because he knew how much he meant to you. Hajijin-san, what are you saying? Yin is a naive child, so she doesn't know about what you've been doing behind her back. Take my words as a warning. Leave her alone before I make you do so. Yin, please. Yin, I want to talk to you. I'm afraid Yin's off to a girl's day with a pink-haired friend. What are you doing here? Nothing really. Just imagining this estate while Yin's gone, as she allows me to do so. Those letters. You mean these? Of course. Managing the estate means I get to decide who is allowed in. And those letters can be sent and whose are torn without having the butter to be reading its contents. So it was you. That's why I never got a reply back from her then. You stole my letters and got rid of them. So, you did have a brain. I'm impressed. Good job. Why are you so obsessed with making my life miserable? I'm putting Yin against me. What did I ever do to you? As I said before, Yin's not home. Please leave before things escalate. I don't want to report this to Okiyatama-sama. Really? I'm not drinking this. You think I didn't hear you change the tea to a poison one? Do you really think I'm just that stupid? Tokia's eyes widened. His plan was ruined. Kid, you have to listen to me. The followers are up on their tail now. Letter to Hanua-sama? Letter to Hanua-sama. Letter for Hamana-sama. Hanua-sama. From the Rengoku family head. Your father invited me to have a dinner with Senjiro and him, to know about how I've been doing after, well, you explained hesitantly at the end of the statement. You composed yourself and quickly sighed with a small smile. Of course, you're also invited. It's your own house after all. We will go? Kojo shrugged, his eyebrows tilting in sadness. Yes, obviously. You rose an eyebrow at him. He hummed patiently, now frowning. Today is our date, though. We can have another date, and then head to have a family dinner with your family. How about it? You reasoned, to which Kojo had none of it. But I want it to just be the two of us. We'll have plenty of time for that, Kokun. Don't fret. You sighed, caressing his face tenderly. You leaned into his touch, eyes closed as he signaled small smiles the back of his lips. I think our first date should be memorable, more wonderful. He complained still, and private. Hanua-san, this is... A ceramic bowl was thrown aside, breaking loudly and pouring its contents on the floor and table. Such noise was enough to bring the cheerful and warm atmosphere to zero. Kojo's hand was fisted, arm folded next to himself. He still kept his smile, but his eyes seemed so different. Dark, cold, dead, terrifying. I'm sorry, Senjiro-kun. The flame-pillared smiled kindly, eyes now closed. But I think Yin dear has already had enough to eat. What were you thinking, throwing the food plate like that, in front of your family? You said angrily, Kojo looking at you with a small frown. No matter how upset you are, you just can't do that. Senjiro was still being overwhelmed, even for a child his age. Kojo defended himself, yet it was nothing but bullshit to you. There was no trace of remorse, however. That doesn't give you the right to behave that way towards Senjiro-kun. He's still a child, and your brother, no less. You fumed. That explains Kayaka's spoiled attitude. Kojo humped, sending you more on edge. What did you just say? You're too soft with children, even with your own child. You are way too forgiving, and you spoil him to no end. The lack of discipline and firm attitude is what almost Kayaka killed at the time. The flame pillar said nonchalantly, as if his words made no sense. They did, but the way he said them seemed so wrong to you. Kojo-san, stop, I'm serious, you ordered with a small shakily breath escaping your lips. You looked at him with such fierce, and it could easily make anyone shiver. Put my child away from this matter. At least have some dignity to do so. I must be honest in order for you to recognize your faults and use them to grow into a better, stronger person, even if it hurts. One must grit their teeth and move on. Do you even hear yourself right now? Never mind. This is all. I'm going home. Where? What are you? This is your home. Where are you going? Kojo, it hurts. Let me go. You wince, afraid as you try to free your arm. You begin hyperventilating, overwhelmed by his deadly aura and overall stature. You blinded him out of fear, accepting him to let go. It did not appease, sad to say. No tricks, please. That is no fair way to fight. The flame pillar smiled carelessly, squeezing your wrist tighter. You heard a small crackle, a very faint one. The pain, unlike the sound, was horrible and made you let out a cry and loosen your balance. You fell on your knees with a harsh thud, and the blindness effect gone already. Kojo let go and watched you cry as you held your injured arm close to yourself. Ah, this saddened the flame pillar. Was that all it took for you to go from fierce and determined to meek and vulnerable? The yellow and red-haired male hummed at this, a little too disappointed. Looks like there is still a lot for you to learn about strength. He then smiled kindly, laughing even. Nothing I can't help you with. Of course. He's crazy, you thought, still crying, and trying to forget about the pain. This time, your eyes locked with his. He's insane. I'm scared. Now, let me help you. He offered, crouching in front of you, but it was all for naught when you got up in a flash and ran away. This left Kojo looking surprised yet a little offended because you rejected his aid. He looked in the direction you ran off. Ah, what impressive speed. Ikaro was insane, having constant affirmations about what kind of hands extending towards him. Michiro made use of his paranoia and killed him by stabbing both his eyes and reopening his mouth entry. He then slashed his chest open, violently mutilating his heart and shredding his lungs. Michiro laughs as he does his evil deed, getting reveled on seeing his beloved's #1 hater dead so easily. Are you going on a mission, Uzui-san? You asked with an urge in your tone. Well, of course I am, you dummy. What else would I? I'll go with you. You quickly replied, interrupting him. We have snacks and candy. Another woman joined. Zenitsu just kept looking at them, blushing deeply and smiling nervously. Ahem. You cleared your throat loudly, glaring daggers at the blonde. You could know what he was thinking, even though you're literally access to his mind. I love you the most, Yin-chan, Zenitsu responded, looking at you while flailing his arms around. You scrunched your nose, turning your heels and walking away. Yin-chan! Zenitsu tried to go after you, but a great crowd of men surrounded you in less than a second. Was he bothering you in any way, miss? Are you all right? What's your name? What house do you belong to? Do you perhaps have a boyfriend? Miss, you're so beautiful. Hey, are you an Oiron? Please give me some space, you say shyly, looking at the ground. I'm too absent at the moment. All of the men that surrounded you blushed deeply before apologizing and backing away a few meters. Oi, Tenuo-chan, Uzui called, to which you looked at the direction of his voice that came from. Thank you, gentlemen. You kindly smiled, waving your hands at the crowd of men and walking away. By the way, I'm thinking of joining the Otomo house. Zenitsu followed after her, trying to pass as individually as possible. The men from before began muttering almost to themselves. The Ometu house? I'm heading there already. No way. I'll buy her first. I told you to cover yourself. Uzui scoffed, pulling the cape over your head. Look at the mess you just did. Though, you pretty much inferior to the Ototiro house already. Flashing beauty always wins, doesn't it? These are some ugly girls. A woman, dead sweat dropped. Unsure. I don't think they'll of your liking. At least one of them, I beg you. A white-haired male pleaded calmly. Let his hair cool, fool or not. He was tall and, well, extremely hot. It was Uzui. His charms were quite grand, and his untouched face with no scars or marks on it, and his features were dreamy. Look at them again. Sorry, but we can't take any of them, the man next to the woman said, as bluntly as possible. My apologies for insisting so much, but Uzui said, perhaps this one could change your mind. Don't be shy now, Mikoto. Both the women and the man's mouth hung agape, shivering at the admired instant of the female before their eyes. Unlike the other girls, her face was painted just the right way, and her features looked as beautiful as a deity. The way she proudly walked into the place, the generous and expect she put into every step as she stylishly yet delicately stood in the middle, displaying her stunning beauty before everyone. She was so gorgeous. No, beautiful, magnificent, stunning, wondrous. No words could even come out to describe her. The woman stumbled, her entire self quivering. I'm sorry, but we can't accept her either, the man exclaimed with fear as he ruthlessly paced his forehead against the wooden floor, taking Yuzui and the others by surprise, though Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu were inherently glad that you weren't chosen. She's too much for us. She deserves a way better than our low, stupid house. He's right. The woman stood nodded aggressively. As much as we would want her, and even if she's given for free, we're not worthy of her. Let us take the red-haired girl, since you had the trouble of coming to us. Let us have the dignity of taking one of the other girls instead. Amazing are the many women who passed by, catching a glimpse of the earful and newbie at what she could do. She played the shamisen with such delicacy and beauty. She sang Futsu perfectly, though there was no songs but prayers. Her manners were on spot, and the way of speaking was so beautifully. I can't believe she's a newcomer, another woman said with disbelief. She might be more beautiful than I'm going to butcher Daki's name. Oberimi Oiron. Then she'll be an Oiron, the lady of the house said directly. She's a real looker, so she'll be an extra expensive one. Not only will we gain popularity, but even more money. This is a divine sign that we are destined to greatness, ladies. Just don't take our jobs away, little lady, the Oiron joked, looking at Yin and the hair color at jolted. Not like she can take all those men in one night, though. I'll do my best to not try and be a bother to any of you. Oh, she speaks so formally. She'll definitely steal a good number of our customers. That night you were displayed before the men. Oh, all of them looking at you as if they were moths attracted to a light. How much for that one? Who's she? So she did enter the Omotsu house. I want one of the favorite colored Hori. Let me at least touch her hand. I'll pray you. Me too. I'll pay you twice more than him. Enough, you lot, the lady of the house said, pushing the customers away with her broom. This lady is twice as much as an Oiron. If you wish to have her, then pay up. What? You must be kidding. I mean, she's worth a good sum, but this is a scam. Yeah, she's a newbie, isn't she? So, you're saying she's not worth it? The lady of the house fumed. If you're not okay with the price, there are many other houses you can go to. All I wish for her is to hold her hand. I pay whatever it costs. I want to hear her speak. I'll pay twice as price of a normal woman. Please. The lady of the house seemed to think about it before nodding. All right, holding her hand and having a word with her will cost half the price of a normal woman. Anything further than that, more will be expensive. Oh, first. No, I am. I have more money. I was here already. Move. Go pay and then wait in line, the lady of the house said. Then she turned her head and faced you. Mekido, get ready. Yes. You nodded, hurriedly leaving the room and going to your assigned chambers. That night was tiring, though you had no evil acts. Perhaps your nervousness and fear was responsible for your worn-out state. Men scared you greatly. Your impression and your voice, they made you feel smaller than what you actually were. Though they were gently squeezing your hand or caressing it, you still felt uneasy and scared. Speaking was easy. They minded their manners, and most of them asked you to sing or play them the shamisen or the koto. What haunted you was the most many of the men spoke of you as a piece of jewelry they wished to buy. I swear to you that I someday buy you out of here, a man at the other side of the fence-like door said. Why is that? You asked softly, curiosity in your tone. You're too beautiful for a place like this, he replied. You deserve better than a life of I could give you all you want. I could give you all the love you need. I wish to spend a lifetime with you. Alas, this beauty of mine is nothing but a curse, it seems. You spoke. It's obvious that moths go after the brightest of light, but no one ever looks at the light and thinks, what else is there beyond that brightness? Moths are unable to stare at the light for too long, the man responded, and moths are cursed too, for they love the light although it hurts them. Do you share the same pain I do? I doubt it. It seems it doesn't hurt you to go after 1,000 lights each night, you unsatisfied creature. After meeting you, I'd rather melt and die in your flames than being burnt by a small spark. If your words speak truth, then I shall wait for you.
You finally spoke, though I cannot promise to be yours, even if I do desire. Being in a place like this is a battle, after all. I will do my best to be the victor as a sign of my ever-fleeting love resolve. May I kiss your hand before I leave? Very well. She isn't here today, either? I think she's enough advanced to why. The hag at my place is crazy because almost all our customers went to the Otamento house. I heard the price of her is even higher than one of an Oiron. She's so safe.
Hey guys, I want to apologize for not posting until April. Not April, August. It's oh my god. But I am so sorry. I don't know if you read I had edited a past post of mine because it's all my fault. I'm gonna take it with my grain of salt. I'm gonna take it with my words because it's my fault for doing it. But I had accidentally forgot to put the Kirishima X villain listener for Spicy Week as not meant for kids. So I had to take 2 weeks off, basically, forcefully. And that's why everything that I had done for a week is now basically, hey, now. So I'm so sorry for this. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. There will be more, by the way.